Everyone, this is the Data Kids Award. It's one of our last live sessions, and today I'm having Michelle and Vani with me. We will talk about data visualization projects. We will discuss different practices that you can do at home with your parents. And yep, if you want to take part in our Data Kids Award, we have 1 day left, and you can apply your project in one of our categories. It's like craft category, drawing, and digital category. You can see what you can use in each of them, and please join our LinkedIn profile because you can see a lot of examples of our projects that are made with paper, clay, that are handwritten on paper, or they are created in the Tableau or with other different tools. And I want to remind you that kids which are aged from 7 to 12 years old can take part in our award and actually win some prizes from our partners and from us too. And which prizes I'll tell you by the end. But right now, let's start with our open talk. And the first one will be Michelle. Michelle, please, you can share with us.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for having me today. So, my name is Michelle Maraj, and I am a data visualization professional. I've been doing analytics my entire career, and you can see the couple of different things that I've done throughout that. And so, in school, I went to University of Texas at Dallas, and I studied information systems analytics, where I got a technical degree. And then I started out my career in consulting, actually. And so, I was doing financial crime analytics, which means I was helping banks and financial institutions look for fraud, look for suspicious activity, and see if people were doing anything bad with their money. Then I started working at Lyft, the rideshare company, where I was doing financial systems analytics, and that's where I really used my primary tool, Tableau. So Tableau is a data visualization tool that it's like a computer software that a lot of people in the profession use. So I personally was using Tableau to help analyze what was going on with Lyft's financial data. After that, I started working at Quick, where I ran their reporting and business intelligence division. So that means that I was helping anybody in the company who needed access to data. I helped pull the data out, put it in Tableau to in type some type of data visualization so that people could use it. This role was really exciting for me because it got me the opportunity to show people who weren't used to working with data the power that it had. And so there were a lot of people at my company who had not really used a lot of data visualization, data analysis before, but I was really helped to show them the benefit of summarizing and how visualization can help make their jobs a lot easier. So it was really cool. Before I get into some of my current projects, I wanted to quickly touch on why I believe data visualization is important. So for me, I used to actually run a travel blog. So this was early in my career when I was in consulting, I was traveling a lot and I was posting and getting a couple of views. So you can see in this visualization that in my travel blog in February, this is 2023, I had 16,000 page views. And with this visualization, this is a month over month chart of how many page views I got. So you can see that it was pretty steady, but from February to March, you can see that the page views are increasing. So this bar chart can really show you that traffic is slowly improving on the blog, and maybe if we want to capture that momentum, I should hire more writers. But if you go to the next slide, if you just change the view a little bit, rather than showing month over month, if we show year over year, you can see that my page views are actually much lower than they were historically. And so in March 2019, I had reached a peak. I had reached a high of 40,000 page views a month. But then during COVID, when people were not traveling anymore, the page views dropped really dramatically. So in this chart, if I wanted to present this chart instead, I would say, okay, traveling is not getting as much page views as before. Maybe I should pivot to something else and do something else for my blog. So you can see on the next slide, between these two different visualizations, they're both correct. Both charts are correct. They use the same data. We're just changing how we're visualizing it, right? And so when you ask the question, which one is the correct visualization to show, it's really, really tricky because, again, they're both right. And they both tell a completely different story. One says that we're seeing growth, another one says that our growth is down, right? And so that's why data visualization skills are so important because the types the way that you choose to display your data can really help drive very different decisions. So that's why I think data visualization is important. And here are just a couple of other visualizations that I personally have done in projects that have been really exciting to me. So I mentioned that I really like traveling, and so these are a couple of older Tableau dashboards that I did. But for a while, I was doing an annual Tableau dashboard of places that I had traveled to. I mentioned that I was traveling a lot for work because I was in consulting, and then I was also traveling a lot personally. And so the chart on the left, you can see a couple of places in the US, a couple of places I went on my honeymoon, and it was just really cool. In 2019, I decided to bring in data from my husband. And so on this dashboard, the colors, you can actually switch between the two people and compare how I traveled compared to how my husband traveled. So it's really cool because with data, you can take, I was doing a lot of data analysis and data analytics for work, but with data, you can also take the opportunity to analyze some of your own activity and just be able to show people what you've been up to. And continuing on just looking at my own data. So, like I mentioned, the two dashboards that we saw before were built in Tableau, which is that software. I'll actually start with the chart on the right. This was my book review from 2021. So I was, especially during the pandemic, I was reading a lot more than usual. I'd gotten back into reading. So I wanted to create a visualization to show how much I was reading. We've got like how many pages I read, what types of genres I read, the ratings that I gave all of these books, and that way you could just see. And then on the right, you can see the bookshelf month over month, how big the books I was reading were. And it's just a really cool way to see, what my favorite genres were and when the books were written, what I thought of them compared to the average ratings and different things like that. And I had a baby a couple of years ago, so I am a mom and I have a daughter who just turned 2 this month. And when she was first born, I was tracking, as data lovers, we track everything, right? And so I was tracking every time she pooped, every time she ate, every time, yeah, we changed her diapers. And so what I did was I actually, for this one, I had used Flourish, which is another data visualization tool that is in Canva. And so a combination of Flourish and Canva to create these charts. And so you can see I was tracking over time how much milk she was drinking, how many photos we took of her over time, how many diapers were changed, and how often she was eating. So it was just a really exciting way to look at her growth over time. But on the next slide, what I'm doing right now is I've done a lot of analytics and data visualization that has been on the computer, right? And so using data that has mostly stayed on the screen. And so in this next phase of my journey, I've wanted to try and figure out how I can bring data visualization off the screen and how I can turn it into something that people can engage with a little bit better. So I've been working on what I call my shirt project, and I've been really, really excited for it. So these are a couple of the designs that I've made that I do plan on selling soon. But the way that most of these designs worked are I have data visualizations on the sleeves. So actually, I am wearing a shirt right now, but it's a little bit hard to see with the background. But all of these shirts have a data visualization on the sleeve and then the legend for the chart on the front. So for example, the shirt I'm wearing right now, it's actually in the bottom left, the Yosemite shirt. Each flower represents a month in the year, and then the size of the flower is how many people visited that park. And then the shape of the flower is the season it is. So whether it's fall, winter, spring, when's a good time to visit. So it's one of those things where it's very subtle, but once you really read the shirt, you can understand it is a data shirt. And I also talked through the one on the top left, the one that says San Jose. That's a weather shirt. And so it actually has dots with each dot representing a day of the year. And the color represents whether it was hot, cold, warm. And then it also has shapes.
I like the idea. I like how you used the colors, the shapes, and the quantity of petals, if I'm not mistaken, just to show how many times the parks were visited and what seasons were there and your emotions about that. So my only question would be where we can buy it, where we can like purchase it.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Yeah, and so actually, if you go to the next slide, I do have a link to my t-shirts, a couple of different resources, but I do really think Flourish is a little bit of a newer tool, and it's great because it is free. And so I know that Tableau It might be a little bit, like different versions might be a little bit more expensive, but Flourish is a good tool to start with if you need something easier to use.
Great. Yeah, great. And it's like the inspiration, lots of inspiration in Canva. And so I wonder if we have like the website where we can see different projects like on the Tableau with the Canva. So that
Yeah,
would
I
be
think the Flourish does
yeah.
have it's not it's because I know that Tableau has like Tableau Public, and so you can see my Tableau Public here where you can see my visualizations. I don't
Mhm.
know if Canva necessarily has something like that, but I know that they do have Flourish does have an examples page where you can see different examples and start from there.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Michelle, so much. And we will go on to Vani.
Thank you, Zenia. Uh, Hi guys. So today I really want to talk about how data is not just about numbers. When I was probably your age, when I think about data and numbers, I also always used to think about studies and not anything fun. And everything besides numbers and studies were a part of my daily life. So with the help of few examples, I just really want to help you kids understand that everything around you has some part of data which doesn't have to be just around, just doesn't your studies, it can be anything, and how you can probably incorporate that in your daily life. For example, if you are someone who is really interested in cars, or if you are interested in any kind of stuff, if you're interested in cars, or if you have any hobbies, you can just track the data. So if you see this visualization, I am someone who is not at all interested in cars. I don't understand cars. But because someone actually really understood the data, and they made sure to show this in a way that someone like me who is not interested in cars can only also understand what's happening with this. I know for a fact that out of the total speed that cars have, how much speed this car particularly has, and same with mileage, which I probably wouldn't have understood at all if I saw their raw numbers or saw their raw data or heard it from someone, right? So it's a very good way to track your hobbies, to showcase your hobbies to somebody else without without really talking. You can show them your work in a very visual manner. This visualization is quite pretty, and this talks about the Japan basically has a earthquake history, and somebody who was really probably interested in geography or history wanted to showcase something about Japan history. And this basically what you see right now is Japan's map, and the size of the circle showcases the depth the depth of the earthquake that happened over here. So you can see that the earthquakes majorly has been happening in Sendai region, and Osaka also had some earthquakes, but it probably did not have a major magnitude. So again, it's a very interesting way to show a very complex data in the most easiest way possible. But these were, I think, more complex. There are better ways to incorporate your hobbies into your daily lives. And if this is a visualization I really found interesting, I found this on Tableau Public by someone called Jyoti. So she was a fan of Pokemon. I'm not sure if you two see this cartoon, but this used to be a very famous cartoon back in at least my day. So people used to collect Pokemons, and each Pokemon has its own characters and different points. And this person, because she loved it so much, she made a very interesting viz out of it. And like I said, anyone who is not too well versed with the Pokemon cartoon can also just have a look at this and be able to understand your hobbies really well. So I would just encourage you to look at data, to see around you, and I'm sure you will find data in everything. For example, if you go to the next slide, it's a very simple thing. You can just track whatever you are doing the entire day. You have 24 hours in a day. And I'm sure you must be doing a lot of things. You must be going to the school, playing, eating, watching TV, doing homework, spending a lot of time probably with your family, your siblings, or whoever. It's a very simple activity. You can probably start tracking what you are doing in a day and see where you are spending your time majorly. And a very interesting thing would be to figure out the difference between your weekly and weekend activities. I'm sure if you compare your weekday to weekends, you will see you're probably playing, eating, and watching screen more than anything else. So that's an interesting thing to track. If you go to the next slide. Another thing which I personally do sometimes whenever I'm traveling is I enjoy tracking my steps. It's a very random thing I like to do, but well, you can do it if you want to. So I don't know if you know about this, but Indian weddings are pretty crazy. So when my sister got married, I was probably up 22 hours in a day out of 24 and was probably walking around. So I tracked my walking activities all throughout 24 hours in a day. And if you see, the bigger the circle, the more I was walking at that hour of the day during the 4, 5 days of the activities. And similarly, what you can do is you can also track your daily activities and probably make a bar chart out of it, a simple bar chart or a pie chart, however you want to go about it, and see on which days you are the most active and which days you are not. Again, if you go to the next slide, one more really good example is, and I would encourage you probably to do this for sure, perhaps with your parents as well. Make a very simple mood board and ask your parents to get you some random stickers, four stickers which showcases 4 different moods. And whenever you are going to bed, just each quadrant can be a mood, and add the sticker in that quadrant and track it for a month. And this will really help you and your parents also to understand the kind of moods you are generally in. And so data does not only have to be about uh, numbers in general. This can really also help you to understand how your emotions fluctuate throughout the day or over a period of time. And I think it's a very good activity for parents as well. So I would definitely encourage you to give this a go. Second, if you go to the second slide, yeah. Again, one very simple activity is, if you like to collect things, like I know when I was a kid and I used to go to beaches, I used to collect shells of different colors and keep them with me. And I used to store them in some boxes. But what you can do is, if you also like collecting things, you can just take a glass jar and try to, stack all of different colors of stuff on top of each other, and see what see how your collection looks over a period of time. It's just a nice way of visually seeing your collection. Or you can even use stuff at home, pulses or whatever you have, basically balls, anything. And if you are someone who uses, if you go to the next slide, if you're someone who uses a lot of blocks, plays with Legos, um, I mean, there's so many things which you can make out of a Lego, but it's a very simple bar chart using different colors. Just club all your colors together and create a fancy bar chart. But I'm sure you guys can be more creative and make better stuff than this. If you go to the next slide. Yeah, so this was a very personal project of mine when I was initially looking for a job. I didn't want to just make a resume, black and white resume. So what I did was I tried to be a bit more creative, bit more fun, and I tried to make my resume in a very visual format. I wanted to be able to tell people who I am without actually saying this out loud or sending them a boring PDF. So I showed them a timeline where I showed them what exactly I was doing at different years in my life. What were my hobbies? What am I good at? What I cannot, what am I learning? As you can see in this waffle chart. And I also told them where they can reach out to me, made a very quick caricature about how I look. So this was a very fun activity. If you are someone who also likes drawing or are very creative, you don't have to use any particular tool for this. If you're someone who paints, draws, just take a sheet of paper and probably do this. Make a visual sketch note. In short, make a sketch note about yourself. And that could be a fun thing to share with your friends and family, perhaps.
Yeah,
So
great. I think
yeah.
this is very useful when you apply for something. For example, you after you pass your exams or you want to take part in some school project, you can do something like this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, if you'd like to contact Vani, you can go to the LinkedIn page, right? We can find
Yeah.
you on the LinkedIn page, and there we can find all the other links, for example, your website if you have one, and other times, other ways to do that. So right now we have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat or turn on your audio or video and just write it. My question would be to start off this section is one data set or design project that you would like to make bring to life, but you haven't done it yet. Maybe you have one idea that you would like to start working on, but you haven't started for some reason. So it would be great if you share it. If you are not ready to share, if you want to keep it as a secret, please tell.
I can go. I think Michelle has already done this, but I too I'm an avid reader and I've probably read hundreds of books last year, surprisingly. And I've been really wanting to make a whiz around it, want to track my books, but I've only ever started making the Excel,
Mhm.
accumulating my data, but I keep procrastinating it. So, but
Mhm.
after seeing probably Michelle's dashboard today gave me some inspiration to again get back into it. But that has been my passion project for 1.5 years or two. But procrastination.
I know, and I sometimes feel like getting the data together is almost the hardest part, right? And so
Yeah.
for that one, for my books, I actually use Goodreads. And so it's really cool because Goodreads, you can put in, I mean, you put in your rating and you can also it automatically exports like the genre, the rating, the average rating for the book. And so it gives you a lot to work with. So fortunately, there are some apps out there to help you track your data if you're interested in doing things like that.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
me, yeah, something that I would like to visualize is I do really like archaeological sites. And so I do want to create more visualizations around the history of where they came from or how they've evolved over time. So, for example, I really like, we are talking a little bit earlier, I really like Petra. So, this background is when I went to Jordan a couple of years back. And so, maybe even if there is data, I haven't done a lot of research as far as like if there's data available as far as like when the different structures were built by who. I think that'd be really cool to visualize. Or I really also I like the pyramids both in Egypt and also in Mexico. I'm really interested in. And so I would love to do a type of visualization around even in Mexico and Latin America where the different pyramids are located. So that might be something that I come up with next.
And one last question would be, is that what data visualization tools do you like using? Like, do you stick to one or do you try to combine different ones while you're working on with one data set? So that would be interesting to hear too.
So for me personally, just because Tableau was one of the first tools that I used, I'm very familiar with it and very fluent in it. And so I personally gravitate towards using Tableau. I am trying to use Flourish and Canva a lot more. So for example, you saw a lot of the screenshots that I had, those visualizations were made in Tableau. But for my t-shirts, I would create most of the time the sleeves and the visualizations were in Tableau, but then I would export it to Canva to edit it. So a combination of tools there.
Great. Vani, and you?
Yeah. I think same for me. I also started my career with Tableau and I've been extensively using it for the last 5 years. So I think Tableau is like 95%. And also because my job is using Tableau all day in and out, so majorly Tableau. But I've also played around with Power BI for a couple of months and Alteryx as well in my previous job. But yeah, it's mostly Tableau, yes.
Mhm. And how much time did you take you to learn how to work with Tableau? Was
I
it
think
long?
yeah,
Mhm.
more about learning. I think I spent a good amount of probably 6, 7 months while I was fresh out of my college. And COVID, it was a COVID year, so I was pretty free at home. So I worked on a lot of projects. It was a lot of hands-on. I don't think I could have learned Tableau by just watching videos. So I
Mhm.
did a lot of hands-on projects, and Tableau as a community is really great. They share a lot of challenges with you, free challenges daily, regularly on lots of channels. So it was really easy to get my hands on free data sets and free challenges. So probably a couple of months and then some hands-on really helped me get a hang of Tableau.
That's
And
actually a
I had a
short
very
time.
yeah, because I was gonna
Yeah.
say I had a very similar story where because I was introduced to Tableau when I was in university, and so I used it as part of some projects there. But then when I started my first full-time job, it was primarily using Tableau. So I really picked it up and used it through practice there. And then my jobs following it were specific to they were hiring for people who use Tableau. So then it just really builds on your skills that way. But I was going to really quickly share because on my website, I have a list of some of the Tableau training videos that I personally use and also some of the data visualization books that I really liked. And so if you guys want to see what books I read as well to learn those data viz skills, that's the list that I've got.
For now, I will just tell you a couple of words about our project in general, why we created the Data Kids Award. It's our great initiative that we want to make our kids, the data kids that we create projects with, know that they can turn their hobby into the career path. And we actually invite experts from one field, but from different parts of the world, just to share their experience and show how they came to where we want to take our kids to, like to show them what project they can create and how they can do that. Not only, for example, using their toys, but toys can be turned into the digital projects, and digital projects can turn to huge offline projects so that they can create with different partners like automobile brands or any other, actually many of them. And the first step that we actually give our kids to do is the book Christine and the Magic Charts that was created by the founders of the Data Kids Award, Alex Kolkov and Natalia Kislova. This is the story about this girl, Christine, that goes to the land of data. She meets different diagrams. She learns more about them and about their magical features, and she fights the dirty data that want to take over the land. So yeah, if you would like to join us, if you would like to join the Data Kids Award and to see the winners of the award on May 9th, please use this QR code, go to our website, register, and we will notify you on the date, on the time, and we will give you the link to join us. Thank you so much, Vani. Thank you so much, Michelle, for taking part today, for sharing your projects, for being here with us, and being so nice and kind about our initiative, about our questions. I hope that we'll have exciting projects, and yep, see you when we will send you over the projects to look over and decide who will be the winner again. So thank you so much. Have a nice day or have a nice evening, and thank you for participation. Bye bye.